Welcome to The Deep Dive. Today, we're getting into something that, well, it can really throw a wrench in your travel plans if you're not ready for it.
Yeah.
Visa requirements, specifically for Shanghai.
hmm
It can feel pretty complex, right? Like wading through loads of red tape, and nobody wants that stress before a trip.
Absolutely not. That uncertainty around visas, it's really common.
Yeah.
But look, our mission today is to sort of demystify the whole Shanghai visa thing. Think of this as like your shortcut to understanding the essentials so you can actually feel prepared and, confident about your trip.
Exactly. And we're drawing on info from moveandstay.com today. They've been helping business travelers and expats find their feet in Asia for, over 25 years now, helping with places to stay, work.
Yeah, a really solid resource, especially for practical on-the-ground stuff in Asia.
Right. So we're going to break down the different visa types, what documents you'll need, the actual application
The
steps.
fees, timelines, common mistakes people trip up on.
Yeah, and some pointers, especially if it's your first time applying. We want to boil it all down to the key bits for you.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's dive in. First up, what are the main types of Shanghai visas we need to know about?
Right. So understanding the categories is like step one, super crucial. And moveandstay.com points to three main ones you'll likely encounter. The tourist visa, the business visa, and then the student visas.
Okay, so tourist visa, that's the L visa, yeah.
That's the one.
So this is probably what you're looking at if you're heading to Shanghai for, fun, sightseeing, visiting friends or family.
Your standard holiday, basically.
And the typical stay is usually, 30 days? Maybe 60?
Yeah, typically up to 30 or 60 days. And a really key requirement here, moveandstay.com highlights this, is having proof of your travel plans.
Okay. Like flight confirmations and hotel bookings.
Exactly. They want to see a solid itinerary.
Oh.
It shows you've got, concrete plans and you're not just planning to hang around indefinitely.
Makes sense. Okay, then there's the business visa, the M visa.
Right, the M visa. This is for people going for meetings, conferences, maybe trade shows, or other short-term business kinds of activities.
Okay.
But it's important to note, and moveandstay.com is clear on this, for anyone thinking longer term, this isn't for taking up like a full-time job there.
Right, short-term business only. And for this one, the crucial thing seems to be that invitation letter from a Chinese company.
Oh, absolutely critical, yeah. That letter needs to spell out exactly why you're going, what you'll be doing, and the specific dates of your visit.
So getting that sorted well ahead of time sounds non-negotiable.
It really is. Seriously, without that formal invitation, your M visa application is pretty much dead in the water.
Got it. Okay, and the third category, student visas.
Yep, student visas. And there are actually two types here, X1 and X2.
X1 and X2, what's the difference?
So the X1 is for longer-term studies. Think, a full degree program or something lasting more than 6 months.
Right, over 180 days stay.
Exactly. And the key things you'll need are that official acceptance letter from a recognized school in Shanghai, plus proof you can actually afford it, tuition, living costs, the whole deal.
Financial stability proof. Makes sense for a long stay. And the X2.
X2 is for the shorter courses, anything less than 6 months, so up to 180 days.
Okay.
Requirements are similar. You still need the acceptance letter and proof of funds, though maybe the financial proof bar isn't quite as high as for the X1.
Okay, that covers the main types. Now, moveandstay.com makes a point that seems really important about checking official sources.
Absolutely paramount. Cannot stress this enough. Across all these visa types, you must check the official website of the Chinese embassy or consulate in your specific country.
Why is that so critical?
Because visa rules, well, they can change,
Yeah.
and sometimes quite quickly. What applies today might be slightly different tomorrow, or requirements might vary a bit depending on your nationality.
Okay. So our chat is a good starting point, but the embassy website is the final word.
Precisely. That's where you'll find the most current, definitive info for your situation. You might find specifics there about, say, needing documents translated, or maybe extra requirements for certain job types.
Right, details we might not cover here.
Exactly. So digging into their FAQs and specific visa pages is essential. MoveAndSay.com often includes a summary table, which is great for a quick overview, but always go to the official source.
Good advice. Okay, so let's say you figured out your visa type, tourist, business, whatever. Now comes the paperwork fun, right? What documents do we need to pull together?
Yes, the documentation stage. Super critical. MoveAndSay.com breaks it down nicely. Your passport, the application form itself, and then the photos.
Okay, let's start with the passport. What are the rules there?
Main things. It needs to be valid for at least 6 months after you plan to leave China. not just 6 months from when you apply.
Ah, good distinction. 6 months beyond your intended stay.
Correct. And you need at least 2 completely blank pages in it for the visa sticker and entry-exit stamps.
Always worth checking those expiry dates way in advance. And moveandstay.com also mentions having a photocopy of the main page.
Yeah, the photo data page, it's just a good backup to have. Oh, and another important one if you hold passports from more than one country.
Dual nationality.
Right. You generally need to provide all your valid passports and sometimes even expired ones. They want the full picture of your identity and travel history.
Okay, that's a detail easily missed. What about the application form?
So these days, as moveandstay.com notes, you almost always fill this out online first. Then you print it and sign it.
Online first, print later.
Got it. And the absolute key here is accuracy, like obsessive accuracy. Double, triple check every single field before you submit it online, and definitely before you sign the paper copy.
Because typos are bad news.
Typos, inconsistencies, they can cause serious delays or even get your application rejected right off the bat.
Yikes. Okay, pay attention to detail. And photos. There are always specific rules for visa photos.
Oh yes, moveandstay.com lists very precise specs. The size needs to be exactly 48 millimeter by 33 millimeter.
Okay, specific size.
Color photo, taken recently, usually within the last 6 months. Plain white background, no patterns. You facing directly forward.
Standard enough so far.
And here's a slightly unusual one. Wear a colored or dark top. They specifically say no white tops, probably so you contrast with the background.
Huh. Okay, no white shirts. Good tip.
And crucially, how you handle them. No staples, no tape, no paper clips, nothing that could damage the photo or make it fall off the application. They're really strict on this.
Wow, okay, so handle with care and follow the clothing rule. Seems like small things, but easy to mess up.
Exactly. And overlooking these photo specs is a super common reason for applications getting bounced back. It's also worth remembering, as moveandstay.com points out,
Yeah.
that the consular officers, people processing your visa, they have the right to ask for more documents if they feel they need them.
Okay.
They can also refuse a visa, sometimes without giving a detailed reason, or they might decide they need to interview you.
An interview. Okay.
Yeah. Ultimately, getting the visa and how long it's valid for, it really comes down to your individual situation and their assessment.
Right, it's their call in the end.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've wrestled all the documents together. What's the actual process of applying look like?
Okay, the process itself. Generally, it's fill out the form, submit everything, and then track it.
Sounds simple enough, in theory.
Yeah. So the application form, as we said, usually found on the website of the Chinese Visa Application Service Center, the CVASC, or maybe directly on the embassy or consulate site.
And fill it out completely accurately.
And consistently, MoveAndStay.com stresses that the details on your form need to match up perfectly with things like your invitation letter, if you have one.
Right. If the letter says a 3-day conference, don't put 3 weeks on the form.
Exactly. That raises red flags. So once the form's done, you got all your documents, passport, the correct photos, all the supporting stuff like flight bookings or that invitation letter, and you submit it. Usually, this is at the Visa Application Service Center or sometimes directly at the embassy or consulate.
Do you just walk in?
Good question. MoveAndStay.com notes, you often need to book an appointment first. So definitely check their website beforehand to see what the procedure is.
Okay, check for appointments. And they keep your documents right.
Yes, that's a key point MoveAndStay.com mentions. When you submit your application, the Chinese embassy keeps all the documents you provide. You don't get them back right away.
Not even your passport.
Nope, they usually keep your passport while they process the application, which is why applying well in advance is so important.
Right, can't travel without your passport. So after you submit, how do you know what's happening?
You'll usually get some kind of receipt or slip with a reference number or tracking number on it.
Okay.
You can then use that number, usually on the same CVASC or embassy website, to check the status online.
So you can see if it's processing or approved.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
MoveAndStay.com advises checking it regularly for updates, and also keep an eye on your email and phone just in case they need to contact you for anything extra.
And the big takeaway here, especially stressed by moveandstay.com, for anyone with fixed travel dates.
Apply early. Give yourself way more time than you think you need. Account for weekends, public holidays in both countries, potential delays.
Don't leave it to the last minute.
Definitely not. Rushing a visa application is just asking for trouble.
Okay, let's talk about the less fun stuff, money and time. What about visa fees?
Right, the cost. MoveAndStay.com confirms that yes, there are standard fees, and they do vary. It depends on your nationality and which type of visa you're getting.
So no single price tag.
Nope. Their strong advice, again, is check the official embassy or consulate website for your country. They'll have the latest fee schedule listed.
And these fees, you pay them up front.
Usually, yes, when you submit the application. And a really crucial point, the fees are generally non-refundable.
Ouch. So even if they deny your visa, you don't get your money back.
That's typically the case, yeah. Adds a bit of pressure to get everything right the first time, doesn't it?
It certainly does. Okay, what if you're in a real hurry? Are there faster options? MoveAndStay.com mentioned expedited services.
Yes, many visa centers do offer faster processing, like an express or urgent service, but it comes at an extra cost.
A premium fee for speed.
Exactly. But MoveAndStay.com is careful to point out, paying extra does not guarantee approval. It just means they'll process it faster if you're eligible. Eligibility can also vary by nationality and visa type, and all the normal document requirements still apply, of course.
So speedier processing, not guaranteed approval. Got it. What are the typical timeframes then, roughly?
MoveAndStay.com gives some general estimates, but emphasizes these are just estimates.
Okay, ballparks only.
Right. Standard processing, maybe 4 to 6 working days. Expedited, perhaps 2 to 3 working days. Urgent, if it's available for you. Possibly 1 to 2 working days.
Working days, so weekends don't count.
Correct. But honestly, these can vary a lot depending on the embassy, the time of year, your specific case. So the mantra remains, apply well in advance.
Factor in mailing time, too, if you're not applying in person.
Absolutely. That adds extra days. MoveAndStay.com often has a table with these estimates, which is handy, but always treat them as rough guides and check current timelines when you apply.
Okay, so plan ahead, check official fees, and manage expectations on timing. Now, what about common pitfalls? Where do people usually go wrong?
Yes, the common mistakes. MoveAndStay.com flags a few big ones. The absolute most frequent reason for denial: incomplete applications.
Just missing stuff.
Yeah, missing fields, unanswered questions. Their advice is simple but vital. Check, double check, triple check everything. Be accurate, be honest. If a question doesn't apply, don't just leave it blank, right? NA or not applicable.
Okay, thoroughness is key. What else trips people up?
Incorrect documentation. This covers a lot of ground. Like we talked about the photos not meeting those very specific requirements.
Right, the size, the background, the no white shirt rule.
Exactly. Or submitting a passport that's about to expire less than that crucial 6 months validity left.
Okay.
Forgetting required supporting documents, like maybe copies of previous Chinese visas if you've traveled there before, or not getting certified translations for documents that aren't in English or Mandarin.
Translations, right. If your bank statement is in French, say.
Precisely. You'd likely need a certified translation. The best defense here, MoveAndStay.com suggests, is to meticulously follow the official guidelines and use any checklist the embassy provides.
Use their checklist. Good practical tip. Okay, what's mistake number 3?
Misunderstanding the visa types. This is a big one too. Applying for, say, a tourist L visa when you're actually going for business meetings.
That seems like an obvious no-no.
You'd think so, but it happens. Each visa type has specific rules tied to your main purpose for visiting. If you mix them up, your application is likely to get rejected.
So, if you're unsure which category fits,
MoveAndStay.com strongly advises contacting the embassy or consulate before you apply. Just ask them for clarification. It's much better than guessing wrong and facing delays or denial. That summary table of visa types and purposes can help clarify the basic distinctions too.
better safe than sorry. Okay, what about people applying for the very first time? Any special hurdles for them?
Yeah, MoveAndStay.com does highlight a few things for first-timers. Often, they might be asked for a bit more supporting documentation.
Why is that?
Well, because they don't have a track record of previous Chinese visas, the authorities might want a clearer picture of their situation and, their intent.
Okay, so what kind of extra docs?
It could be things like bank statements, maybe going back 6 months to show they have sufficient funds, a letter from their employer confirming their job and salary.
Or business registration if self-employed.
Exactly. And proof of accommodation, like confirmed hotel bookings, or if staying with someone, maybe more detailed invitation letter from the host.
So the advice is basically, gather more paperwork than you might think you need.
Pretty much. Be over-prepared rather than under-prepared. Again, check the official website specifically for any additional requirements listed for first-time applicants.
Makes sense. MoveAndStay.com also mentioned interviews being a possibility for first-timers.
That's right. It's not guaranteed, but it's more common for first-time applicants to be called for a short interview at the visa center or embassy.
Okay, and if that happens, any tips?
MoveAndStay.com's advice is pretty straightforward. Just be honest and clear about your plans, dress reasonably smartly, arrive on time, and definitely bring all your original documents with you.
Just in case they want to see the originals.
Exactly. The interview is really just for them to clarify anything unclear in your application and get a better sense of why you want to visit Shanghai. Nothing to panic about, usually.
Okay. And one more specific group. Minors. Children under 18. What's needed for them?
Yes, very important. For applicants under 18, there are extra hoops. You'll typically need a copy of the child's birth certificate showing the parents' names.
Standard stuff.
Copies of both parents' passports, too. And crucially, a signed consent letter from both parents or legal guardians giving permission for the child to travel to China.
Even if one parent is traveling with the child.
Especially then. If only one parent is going, you usually need a consent letter from the non-traveling parent. MoveAndStay.com emphasizes these are safety measures for the child.
Makes sense. Child protection rules.
Right. And of course, the child still needs their own passport, meeting all the usual validity requirements.
Okay, lots of details there, especially for first-timers and families. So let's fast forward. You've submitted everything. How do you actually check the status?
So checking the status. The main way is usually via the online portal, that CVASC website, or the embassy consulate site where you applied.
Using that tracking number you got.
Exactly. You'll typically need the application reference number and probably your passport number as well. Log in and it should show you where things stand.
Like received, processing approved, that kind of thing.
Yeah, something like that. Some centers might also offer email or SMS updates, which can be handy. MoveAndStay.com just advises giving the system a little time to update after you submit. Don't check it obsessively every 5 minutes.
Patience, again.
Okay.
And the good news scenario. It says approved. What happens next? Collection.
Right, collection. You'll get a notification telling you it's ready. To collect your passport with the visa inside, you usually need to bring back that collection slip they gave you when you applied.
The receipt thingy.
Yeah. And your original passport, if for some reason you didn't submit it initially, though usually you do, plus any other specific documents they mentioned in the notification.
And check the opening hours first.
Definitely check the collection center's opening hours. Don't just turn up. And here's a super important step. MoveAndStay.com stresses. When you get your passport back, immediately check the visa sticker.
Check it for what?
Errors. Check your name spelling, passport number, the visa type granted, the validity dates, start and end, and the number of entries allowed. Single, double, multiple. Make sure everything is exactly right.
And if it's not?
Point it out to the staff right there and then, immediately. Mistakes can happen, and you need to get them fixed before you leave the center, or certainly before you travel.
Wow, yeah, you wouldn't want to discover an error at the airport. Okay, but what about the less happy scenario? What if, after all that effort, the visa is denied?
It's disappointing, for sure, but it does happen. MoveAndStay.com explains that if you're refused, you should receive some kind of official notification explaining the reason.
They tell you why.
They usually give a reason, yes. Common ones, as we've discussed, are things like an incomplete application, not enough supporting documents, or maybe the consular officer had concerns about your travel intentions not matching the visa type, for instance.
So is that it then? Game over?
Not necessarily. MoveAndStay.com points out you generally have the right to appeal the decision, or you can simply reapply.
Reapply? But wouldn't it just get denied again?
Well, that's the key. If you reapply, you absolutely must address the reasons given for the first denial. Read that refusal notice carefully. Figure out what was missing or wrong.
So gather more evidence or correct the mistakes.
Exactly. Maybe you need stronger proof of funds, a clearer invitation letter, or you applied for the wrong type initially. It might even be worth seeking advice from an immigration lawyer or a specialized visa consultant at that point.
Get professional help.
It could help you understand the refusal reasons better and strengthen your next application. But MoveAndStay.com adds a dose of realism. Visa decisions do involve official discretion. Even if you think you meet every rule, approval isn't 100% guaranteed.
Right.
Still, understanding why you were denied and fixing those issues definitely improves your chances next time around.
Okay, that's good to know there are options. So wrapping things up then, it feels like the main message is Shanghai visas need care and attention, but it's doable.
Totally. It requires detailed, definitely thorough preparation.
Yeah.
But if you understand the visa types, you're diligent with gathering the right documents, and you follow the application steps methodically.
It becomes a manageable process.
Exactly. And the constant refrain from MoveOnStay.com, which is so crucial. Use the official sources. That embassy or consulate website for your country is your ultimate guide for the latest, most accurate info.
Being prepared and proactive seems to be the name of the game.
It really is. That's the best approach.
Absolutely. So, for you listening, maybe take a moment now to think if Shanghai is on your radar, which visa type would actually apply to your trip. And maybe, as a next step, start exploring those official requirements for your nationality.
Yeah, do that initial research.
Because with that proactive planning and, careful effort, navigating the whole visa process can definitely be done smoothly, and that paves the way for what should be a really fantastic trip to Shanghai.